So Yuval, we're going to begin with you. Obviously, when we think about the future, we think about what's happening in the world and what is setting the global agenda. And if you could speak about the global agenda.
Yeah, I think the first thing to say about the global agenda is that it exists. There is a global agenda, which is not self-evident these days, because with all the talk, at least, about the rise of nationalism and tribalism and the clash of civilizations and so forth, we sometimes tend to forget that, in a very deep sense, all of humanity today constitutes a single civilization. Yes, we have a lot of conflicts, but every civilization, every community, every family has a lot of conflicts. The people you fight most with are your family members, not with strangers, because they are there. So the fact that the world is full of conflict doesn't mean that we are not a single community or a single civilization. And I think in a deep sense, almost all humans today, or at least almost all countries today, understand the fundamentals of reality in the same way. They understand politics in the same way. If you think about China or the USA, Iran or Israel, they understand the basics of politics in the same way, the basics of economics in the same way, and the basics of nature in the same way. They argue about a lot of things, but when it comes time to build a hospital or an economy or a nuclear bomb, they do it in the same way. And just as we have a set of similar ideas and practices, we also, all of humanity, we have a set of common problems, global problems, which can only be solved on a global level. And of these global problems, the three most important are nuclear war, climate change, and technological disruption. Now, the first two are quite familiar by now. The third, technological disruption, is the most mysterious. Most people don't really understand what's coming. Even most experts cannot really say what kinds of threats, what kinds of dangers the new technologies, especially AI, artificial intelligence, and bioengineering, will create. There are a lot of scenarios, scary scenarios. Like if you think about artificial intelligence, so one scary scenario is that it will lead to the emergence, to the rise of a global useless class. Just as the Industrial Revolution of the 19th century created the urban working class, so the automation revolution of the 21st century might create the useless class. And much of the political and social history of the coming decades might revolve around the problems and the hopes and the fears of this new class. Another danger is that new technologies might lead to the collapse of liberal democracy, especially if you think about the combination, the merger of biotech and infotech. They might very soon reach the point when they create systems, they create algorithms that understand us better than we understand ourselves. And once you have an external algorithm that understands you better than you understand yourself, liberal democracy, as we have known it for the last century or so, is doomed. It will have to adapt to the new conditions, it will have to reinvent itself in a radical new form, or it will collapse. Because you can say that the Achilles heel of liberal democracy is the heart. Liberal democracy trusts in the feelings of human beings. And that worked as long as nobody could understand your feelings better than you yourself or your mother. But if there is an algorithm out there that understands your feelings better than your mother and can press your emotional buttons better than your mother, and you won't even understand that this is happening, then liberal democracy will become an emotional puppet show. And we have these, these slogans of listen to your heart, follow your heart. But what happens if your heart is a foreign agent, is a double agent, serving somebody else who knows how to press your emotional buttons, who knows how to make you angry, how to make you bored, how to make you joyful? This is the kind of threat that we are already beginning to see emerging today, for example, in elections and referendums. So really, I would say that the three big challenges, the three top items on our global agenda is how to prevent nuclear war, how to prevent climate change, and how to learn to control the new technology before it learns to control us.